Hey guys, imagine if your city suddenly freezes at the temperature. Fell more than 80 degrees. More than 95% of the world's population died. Frozen after weeks of freezing that survived in their homes, have their water electricity cut off without having anything to eat. Or stay warm, everyone goes hungry. Our protagonist is the only one who prepared for the end of the world and has a life. Comfortable, and whoever can pay his price, he can give some food, and some food. Let's go, and I'll show you one. Business, haha, prona naughty guys, but it wasn't always like that. The truth is that in the year 20150, an explosion of a star made the Earth enter an ice age. Protagonist worked in a Walmart warehouse, and that's why he got a lot of food. As soon as the end of the world arrived in apocalypse, the girl he liked broke into his house with a group of neighbors and stole all his food, and she even admits that she tricked him into opening the door when she died. Proto swore that if he could find her, she would go in there, in hell, and would take revenge. By luck of fate, the PLA returns 3 months in the past before everything happened like tell soft demono, but now he swears that he will no longer be cattle again, taking revenge on those who deserve it, see their neighbors. Agonizing and making the most of it. Do you understand me, right? Priority is to stock up on everything he needs before the end of the world, and build a safe house, in his case one. Tightening as he thought about how to begin his plan, a bright light passes through his eyes instead of following. He discovers that he can send things to an alternative dimension, as if it were a parallel inventory in a game. His idea now is to accumulate an entire supermarket of food and other things like that. He would never need it again if worrying about food and drinks for years in the apocalypse. Just one plate of food would cost a fortune, or even a life. Thinks about all the good food he couldn't eat in 3 months, so he goes to a luxury restaurant. Filling your mouth spends more than 50,000 in money. Koreans put it all on the card in installments because from here TRS months everything is going to blow up. Even the girl Ing, with whom the pro was in love for years and never managed to nothing, and even betrayed him in his past life. He sees with his friend that he was in a luxury restaurant. His friend says that she is lucky because the cattle that do everything for her must have gotten rich, and Xing in his last life pretended to be a virgin, innocent, and in the end stole everything he had, and even ate his apothecary. At that moment, he wanted to overturn this, right here, but that would lead to prison. He had to wait until the right moment at the end of the world to revenge, but the plan starts now. He pulls out his bank card full of limit and asks if they want to make purchases at supermarket. Proto uses them to take everything and shows that he now has money, and they happily accept in the hope of make some profit. The girl still asks why there is so much food, and Proto says that you never know when a apocalypse could happen, and it would be good to be prepared. The 2 freeloaders complain that he doesn't want to carry anything, and say they are doing him a big favor now. He owes him a luxurious dinner like the one he had before. Laughing inside, Proto is looking forward to when the time comes to treat them very well. I'm here looking forward to. Guys, let's leave at the exit of the market. His aunt with her grandson says you can't eat all this alone. Give me a little bit here for aunt. After saying this, her grandson steals the Kamos cart. Proto takes it from his hand. Kid and says, sorry, I'm going to eat everything alone. The child starts making a fuss, cursing the kid about everything he. Is it possible? Proto responds, I'm going to knock your teeth out with a punch in the mouth if you don't shut up, __. So? That's when the kid starts crying right away, and Antlin gets indignant, asking what he's doing, an adult fighting with a child, and says he will buy the chocolate later. She will transfer the money. He immediately showed the pics and talk later. Garai stops by now, or goes to the market, and buys it for you, and leaves your aunt behind, angry because she wanted to carry out the same scam. The boys, __. Arriving home, the girl winks to him telling him not to forget about the two doors in S face after sending them both away. He put all his purchased food in the storage space to test if it spoils over time in there. He still has to build an impenetrable fortress with heating devices and medical supplies, and it would also be great if he could get some armament, as there are only 3 months left until Ice Earth. He has to still manage to sell everything he has and raise money as quickly as possible to do everything that is needed the next day. Looking at the storage space, he checks that the freshness of the food is still good, but he cannot store swarm creatures alive, but the food remains as fresh as the day he stored it, knowing that Proto took out his phone and went into contact the best local restaurant asking to deliver 500 tables of the best meals. He said he wanted hold a 3-day and 3-night banquet for guests, after which he took his title deed from the apartment and went to a bank to mortgage his apartment, considering that after the apocalypse, the money would become useless. PRA decided to take out a mega loan in his name with his apartment as collateral being enough. With this money to build a safe house, the bank manager already asked how much he wants to borrow, but said that the fees are quite high. Proto didn't worry about it and just said that money is the most important thing. He put his car and house as collateral. He will pay in 3 months. He took 9 million, he will pay 30, so he left. There the guys thought they made a great deal. Proto made an excellent deal. Guys, bro, why can you rent and pay for everything in 3 months? No one will charge him for anything, really. The next step was to go to the most famous security company in his city. A business manager approached, asking that he needed the Proto with his idea of building a safe house for the power-generating apocalypse. Business presented several plans for Proto to choose from, but he wasn't satisfied with any of them. Plans presented, he said that his house should be reinforced with aviation materials. The glass on the balcony should be tempered with the greatest possible resistance. You would have to add an air filtration system, a system monitoring of 100 blind spots in the entire building. The front door should be made of the same material as bank doors. The Proto asked the manager to find a way for him to get weapons too, but what is this? The business manager was surprised by these requests and said he would get everything except the weapons or prots, so considered that this would be enough to make his fortress impenetrable. The final plan cost 8 million of the 9 millions that he has after paying the deposit. Proto asked to start construction immediately without delays. As soon as 3 months pass, the business is ready. Then it's screwed, right guys? The next step is that he has to get some self-defense weapons. He called a hunting club and got some crossbows as weapons as soon as he returns home. The 500 banquet tables he had ordered also arrived by truck for delivery, which caught the attention of many people in the neighborhood. Once were delivery trucks from a 5-star hotel in the city. Several trucks of food like that would cost at least $1 million, and everyone got curious after a while. All 500 tables filled the Pro's apartment. Without wasting time, he put everything in his storage space stolen. He no longer needs to worry about good food for a long time of his life. The next day, the workers at the security company came to start building your safe house, and this scene attracted the attention of many neighbors. Curious onlookers who mocked Proto by asking if he had taken some wrong medication. Had he been crazy? However, Proto just ignored it. It only matters when it reaches the end of the world who will be prepared or not in another Proto-fi moment. Until the manager of the company he works for bought the P of medical supplies for double the market price, then transported these things little by little to your home. Your recent stock activities caught people's attention and De Yoing, who asked if water was about to happen, if he knew of something, saying that I was thinking about him a lot recently. This false concern that he is attached to. Proto didn't even respond, and Xing got angry. The stupid kid who did everything she asked suddenly started ignoring her. Her best friend made fun of her by saying that if something big had to happen, the country would definitely let them know. All she has to do now is win over this rich guy again, and then she can get all his money to us. After Prota's safe house was successfully built to ensure the security of entrepreneur, the manager installed a surveillance system on each floor of the building, which was extremely satisfied with that. Now, he just needs to wait for the last batch of supplies that were about to arrive in trucks with drinking water, so he can stay well hydrated, right guys? One of those delivered was your Uncle You from the same neighborhood and seemed curious what he was doing with that much barrel of water. Uncle You was one of the few good people in Prota's past life, and that's why he whispered in his ear, you should stock up on some supplies to prevent the tremendous cold that is coming. Well, listening to this, he doesn't want. I would like to believe in more. When he saw your serious face, he said he believes and will do it. Go back to work, you slacker. In the next weeks the prod enjoys his days spending and eating very well. He plays more and more supply and trains everyone. The days with your bow and arrow are only 3 days away from the extreme cold. The weather was already getting cold. Works where he is a stock supervisor. He makes me Begum tea and invites all his colleagues to have a drink after. Drink my Begum. After an hour everyone was passed out, and after turning off the cameras and surveillance systems is the time to move all the resources from Walmart's internal warehouse with peace of mind, fuels, food, and equipment. He quickly empties the entire warehouse. One of the boxes caught Prota's attention, and they were cold resistance technological equipment that had recently been purchased by the company. They could withstand temperatures of up to -100 degrees with these supplies, and even facing the toughest of eras of ice, Prota could go out on the street. And to finish so his perfect plan, Prota also drank my Begum tea to sleep with his colleagues. Omnir, 2 hours later, the PR is woken up by the employees saying that they are chipped. The entire warehouse was stolen. They emptied everything. Upon hearing this, he feigned surprise. What do you mean all the supplies? The warehouses disappeared. You're going crazy. I didn't understand what he said. The manager calls him to ask about the theft of supplies from the warehouse. Knowing that the entire warehouse was emptied at once without leaving any clues, nor did the cameras see the warehouse manager. Immediate accuses the supervisor of having conspired with someone outside with other people to steal the supplies from the company. Prota, laughing nervously, tells the manager that he is not that competent, so everything will be taken to the police department as quickly as possible for the investigation. After he hangs up the phone, Prota tells the employees not to worry, the police will solve everything. They are not to blame for anything. Soon after, everyone is called to make a statement at the police station, but nothing is discovered. After the interrogation, the police say not to leave the city under any circumstances, since everyone is a suspect. The pro cleverly says that he will be at the disposal of the police. They should go there and find out what happened soon, because this is tormenting him a lot. Brother, son of a bitch. This Prota Veli right from the start on December 10th became the news in the city. No one can believe it. How come? Hundreds of square meters of supplies disappeared without a trace in less than 3 hours in the warehouse of Walmart. That same day it started snowing intensely in the sky, so I knew that this was the beginning of the apocalypse of extreme cold. 3 days later in his home, when the shock wave of a supernova explosion brings catastrophe to the entire planet. Temperature begins to drop quickly during this same night. When looking at the heavy snow falling through the window, what remains? Calm, thinking that his plan really worked. What was destined to happen eventually. Then it would happen. The group of apartment owners were nervous because it was the first time they saw so much snow in the city. Watching everything on Zap from the Plota building, you know that for many people this will be the first and last time that summer snow in this life. Bro, this is very sad. In his past life, the heavy blizzard lasted for more than 3 months. The temperature continued to drop, making so that many people who had not stocked up on food in advance froze to death before they could even starve to death on their second day of extreme weather. Heavy snow at the entrance to their home areas was already accumulating, more than 1 m high. Even if people turned on the heater at maximum, they still shivered from the cold inside their houses. However, Proda, who had prepared several heating equipment before, was calmly very warm and comfortable after a good sleep. Silver was woken up by the sound of the phone ringing. It was a call from Yushing asking if Proda knew about the drop in temperature when it was stocked supplies all the last months, and because he didn't even let her know that he likes him so much now he's there freezing cold eating noodles. Hearing this, Proda laughed and hung up the phone on the girl Meledita, and was pistol on the other side, so she shamelessly sent a zap message asking him for food, and not even. It was like that. Reading the message, Silver decided to troll and joke a little bit. He saw a message with a photo of wine and steak for her that she immediately recognized as a top-quality aiguille and a bottle of very expensive French wine at the time. The desire to have some became strong. She asked to eat with him too. Little baby, Pora's answer was if she wants, she can go to the market and buy it if she really wants, despite her anger. That she calmed down because she needs to please this kid to get to his house and eat after that. So the Frata just ignored her and went back to eating her delicious steak. And then in the monitoring system of the building, he saw on the iPad that the show started. Chalin, who is the building manager, saying not to worry, panic, and not fight over food. The extreme weather would last a maximum of 2 or 3 days. The neighborhood committee will help everyone get through this. Talon has warned that overstocking of supplies is prohibited and will report anyone who discovered they were stockpiling food. A person in the crowd would ask and question them how that she can be sure that this blizzard will not last long. The moderators, I said it wrong. The surrounding residents also wanted to know, stating that if they didn't look for supplies now, Talon would be responsible if they went without eating. I saw in a while, and Antlin has said the neighborhood committee will take over responsibility for any issue related to this. Later pointed to Proda to divert attention, just to tell him not to cause problems, so he didn't care about the threats, and went back to his super safe house. A week had passed and the snow outside kept falling, and there I asked the group in the building that the priest, who was young, was cleaning the snow outside the building. He said it was useless to clean it because it would be like drying a river with a bucket. Refusing Aunt Lynn's request to clear snow, Proda suggested that if she asked the rich people in the neighborhood, they could gather more people and manage to clean the front of the building. She was furious that she was being questioned, and she was angry. Said that in the name of the neighborhood committee, this is an unordered order. Whoever opposes the orders of the committee will be blamed for it later, and there will be problems. The Proto had helped so far, so he asks why Lin didn't call the rich people in the neighborhood to do the heavy lifting. He suggested that he have her Lin and ask Shinzong how to clean himself. Neve Shinzong is the construction manager. Is there an employee for that? Or Xing Chong, who is a rich guy and can pay for people help if he doesn't want. Proto says he won't go any more. Thailand's authority in the group it was broken when reading these messages. Tielin was already cursing and decided to call them both in the group to clean the snows together. Tagged them both in the chat. When they saw this message without Zong, immediately got mad at Ling with Proto for acting in this way, as if he were the owner of the piece. Xing Chong sent an audio to the group saying that he was very busy working hard, and even sent a photo to show how hard he was. Pato, I just know that the Chalin is a fair with the Rakino's response, but he didn't question anything. He just accused Proto of causing confusion, and Proto didn't bother and ignored the rest. Tielin was so furious that she called Proto personally to complain about you. How dare you me? Challenge, and the Prow threatened, saying that if she continued talking nonsense, he would overturn the old woman. Trembling with scared, she hung up and said, "Oh my God, the crazy man is crazy," while he was eating a noise at the front door. Shinzong do outside screaming, "You think you're the baddest in the chat, turning others against me. I'm going to kill you now, kid." And the Prota picks up his bow, went to the door, while Shinzong kicked the door and shouted, magically aiming through the opening the door. He asks who would kill who first. With a mark, he hit Shinzong in the shin with an arrow through the peephole. He saw the slacker on the floor moaning in pain without stopping. No one would have imagined that the silly boy, naive, an honest and hard-working person, would have the courage to react like that. Shinzong didn't know that it was just the beginning of the boy's revenge. With the cold temperature, Shinzong could die if he didn't get treatment. His leg in time, he would die slowly from infection, and weak he would die of cold. A death died fighting and gathering strength to get to the elevator. He didn't imagine that this kid he had only seen 3 times in his life would do this to him, and the truth is that the Prota wanted to roll over him at once. Realizing this, he was scared. He picked up the phone and called emergency. But due to the extreme snow, it would be impossible to provide assistance by ambulance, and so he did it himself. Treatment, taking advantage of the fact that it was very cold and the leg was very numb, he removed the arrow. Bro, just to imagine me here. Then he picked up the phone again to threaten the owner's group, to say that now the Prota, you must guard your word, Shinzong, you will kill him without fear. Prota responds in the group, confident, come here again, and I'm going to kill you. And this conversation left the whole group terrified, because to this day, no one in the region has ever had the courage to go against Shinzong, and this is the first time anyone has faced him. Directly injured leg bitch picked up the phone and called all your construction workers in little time. A herd of people, each holding their own gun, arrived at his house, and Kureka took them all to the house. Door of Prota Chuim, you offended our big brother. Today will be your death. Attacking the door that was supposed to be of wood, the kid's sword breaks and he spins away. Scared, the bald man realizes that this one is through a metal door. Pure how many enemies this kid has. His house is more protected than a lame man watching through security cameras. Prona says that they look a little weak. They must be hungry, and the group of people getting angrier and angrier. Pra had the brilliant idea. He takes a water hose and connects it to the kitchen tap. The workers outside ca passage opens at the door without understanding anything, because this wasn't air Fletch, so it wasn't dangerous. The hose plays cold water on all of them. A lot of them fall to the ground frozen. Only a few manage to escape. This scene left the Prota quite satisfied. Guys, in this freezing cold, the cold water is more dangerous than weapons. In Shinsang's house, 3 of them who managed to escape get under the blankets together, shaking, saying that the others froze to death. Angry, he asks what happened. A group couldn't catch a boy, and the 3 of them explain that Sheng is very smart, and he put a security door, burglar-proof steel, and threw cold water on everyone. No, Zong says he can't hide there forever. Put some men to watch his door day and night. Night when he needs to go out for something, pick him up and bring him to me. That's a smart idea. But the guy, you don't know that Para has an entire supermarket warehouse at home. So let's see how that's going to happen there. Door of the building. Tu led some people to clear the snow at the entrance of the residential area, planning to dig the way to the nearest supermarket to resupply everyone, but they realized that as Prota said no. I managed to dig as fast as the snow falls. After a while, they gave up and got ready to go back. Watching this, Prota says that human power really cannot overcome a disaster of this size, even if the TV is reassuring all citizens, saying that the country is overcoming the snow disaster. Prota is the only one who knows what else. 95% of the world's global population froze to death in this disaster. I love his wife sent a message asking if he is okay. If he didn't know the truth, she could be here with him in this life of luxury. She tells him what she just says is that he's fine. She says that's good, but she's without food and remembers that he bought a lot of things before and asks him for some, says that she will invite him to dinner later. Naughty, he saw a photo of a lobster and said it was already served for dinner. There was no need to invite her when she saw this. Angry, thinking that's why he's single forever, the chances of him having her are over his best friend. Take the opportunity to send a message to the proteta also saying that he left the sad shink there. Look what he is doing. Seeing this message, the proteta, he says this is just a little act, he doesn't care. His friend doesn't give up, saying that Neve won't last long for that he can't be a good neighbor, help his beautiful neighbors. He can even conquer Yoing that way. It would be great for him, and Prota just ignores it and responds with, what the fuck did that make her? Damn! This cattle out of nowhere became an Alpha Sigma red pill when Ninshin gave up trying to find out why the relationship of these cattle changed so suddenly. They have an idea if these cattle are no longer useful they can use other cattle that have less money. She then calls a cattle called Zhang Yi came running and brought a big bag with supplies and says that's all the food he has. Donkey before Yesing could outwit her friend. She slams the door in his face because of __. She didn't even care. She was just thinking about cheating on Prota for ignoring her, and with that bag of food 5 days passed, and the snow only increased. While he ate a piece of chicken, Prota waited for the true spectacle. Starting, all the buildings were left in the dark when the electricity was cut off. Then the neighbors started coming out of their houses asking each other if the power had gone out now. Water and electricity cut off, the heaters didn't work anymore. It was actually getting cold enough to die inside. Home under the covers before finishing his chicken, he went there picking his teeth and turned on the generator that he had bought before or stolen, right, because he also robbed the store, right, guys, the aunt, as well as the neighborhood committee. Shaking while holding her grandson, she never expected the blizzard to last so long, so a message arrived. Someone arrives in the group that only she has in the building saying that this is a global snowstorm ball that occurs once every 100,000 years, speculate could be on the brink of a mass extinction event. Scientists point to several cities. Important parts of the country have already been affected. Everyone should stock up on supplies as much as they can. While reading this, Aunt Lin was in shock. She never imagined that Neve's disaster would be so serious. As she thought of a plan, I needed to make all the residents give their food before they receive this news. Talent also posted a message in the owners group saying that workers don't worry, this disaster is temporary. Must be currently preparing a way to restore power and water to all. Authorities have issued a order. Due to these extraordinary circumstances, the neighborhood committee will manage all supplies. Those who do not cooperate will be arrested and interrogated by the police. Bro, this woman is a scoundrel. And seeing this message, everyone was dissatisfied in the group, especially Jang, but even if he is influential, it is a police order they have to obey. Meanwhile, Chaelin continues in the group chat. Due to the seriousness of the snowstorm, the neighborhood committee decided to collect all supplies from each owner of the building and distribute them equally to everyone to help everyone get through this crisis. Or see this message, the pro remembers that she did the same thing in the past life and stole the food from all the residents. The T-Lin's mistake, guys, was sending a private message saying you must have stocked up on a lot of food, it's yours. Instead of doing your part, send me someone who is angry. Immediately send one. Audio response, Mr. Armando. Then you go to the group and speak for everyone to hear. You're going to take it as a joke. Guys, he says he already ate everything and ran out of supplies at home. When she picks him up from the building, please share some with us. Also, listening to this audio made the old woman almost have a heart attack. How could this kid have finished with everything so quickly? He lives alone, but realizing that she and her grandson are in the worst situation and depend on Prota too. The lady calms down and responds kindly, this is an order from the organization you have to obey after the snow passes. I will report your good deeds to the organization, and you will be rewarded. Proto admits that in his past life had he not died, he would have believed the old woman. He responds, picking his teeth, to his aunt that he's not lying. He really doesn't have anything to eat, he's hungry. How about you send me something first? Some noodles for favor. A wretch is a wretch. To hear that, he didn't hold back, and replied to the Prota that if he refuses to, delivering your supplies is the same as going against the organization, and I will definitely report you. Bro, you shit on her head and said that she is nothing. This made the woman so nervous that she chipped her cell phone against the pistol wall with her. To talk to her like that, after not getting any advantage with Prota, Ch. Lin then focused on the others. Villagers, if she can fool at least some of them, it will take her quite 2 days. After one there had lied in the chat, several residents sent their supplies to Casa de Valia V. This situation made Silver think that everyone, the world is a bunch of dumb people even believing in someone in the pre-apocalypse world. What is she going to deliver? As soon as she sent the message, her phone rings. She goes to see it was Shinzeng. Then she started to sweat. Butiko, right, old lady, hello. What do you want with an old lady? Shinzeng just said coldly. Aunt Lin, you really tricked everyone and took all the residents' supplies. She just pretended to be innocent, saying that this was a decision by the community committee. She was just following orders. She didn't plan anything chic, so she said that this. It's perfect. There are 10 of them here waiting for her to distribute the supplies. Listening to this, Tin Allen tried to counter by saying, these supplies have not yet been separated. Some owners have not yet delivered their supplies, so we cannot start distributing before everyone delivers all their food. If so, the guy hung up the phone and spent a few minutes. Shinzeng, together with his starving people, they invaded her house. The law does not exist, but in this case, he says that he will be the law and slaps the Valia in the face. Takes meanwhile to watch everything on the surveillance cameras with the sausage in his mouth. He also had the idea to record this action at Tin Lin's house and share it with the group in the building. The old woman, seeing that they were going to take all her food, she wasn't going to leave anything behind. She tried to stop Shinzeng. Some of the supplies here, she says she herself took it, so they can't take everything without these supplies. How will she survive any more of her grandson Shinzeng? He said he didn't care about that and just kicked him in the face. Nedenho was in shock seeing his old woman beaten in the street ground. He picked up a small Tramontina and stabbed Butiko with a of the guy's your ass. After feeling that pain in Butiko, the guy just turned around and kicked the kid in the chest, and he went flying. Bro, the guy, he really shot the little boy a goal. Guys, he's stopping, he's dead. He was still happy with it, and his grandson turned it off right away, and I don't know if this will restart. Guys, I think so. It's time to help me here. Even with all this happening, Shinzeng didn't care about anything and still says that this is what that she deserves for deceiving all of us. We are just doing justice here in this building, justice for the group of building. Many residents watched everything and applauded your old liar in their homes. This is what scammers deserves it, and thanks the person without Zingy. When you see these messages, Prota says that these idiots don't understand the truth. Problem today, Shinzeng broke into Old Lin's house. Tomorrow, he can break into any of them house, but how is that? So it's not a risk for him, because his steel door won't fall even with a bazooka shot. He doesn't care, guys, if he chips the neighbors who they rolled him up in the past life. After a while longer, Tin Ellen was asking for help in the group of residents, asking if anyone had medicine. By Shinzeng's people, Dr. Zhao Blau Blau is coming here, but she doesn't have medicine for surgery. Please tell me. Help, the little boy's situation is sad, and he even crosses his eyes, but it's because he heard Dr. Chow Blau Blau doctor. Sure, she was a kind doctor from her previous life, and here we see why his luck is so crooked, right guys? It's very tasty. Tielin keeps begging for medicine in the group, but all she received was a cock in the group of residents. Nobody wanted to believe or help the Valia and the prawn. Seeing this, they just thought that that's it. It should be karma telling will steal food. Well, meanwhile the snowstorm lasted more than a week next door. From the outside, everything was practically paralyzed with snow covering the entire first floor of the buildings. Even though this boy was saved by the hot doctor, he would live for some time without food. Many people have heard from the news that it was a global snowstorm that occurs once in every 10,000 years. Many years, the whole world was being affected by the snowstorm. In some cities in the north, the temperature dropped below 100 degrees. Many residents who tried to evacuate south ended up freezing to death in the I'm walking in the group of residents. Talon started asking for help again. My dear Netanho, he's been hungry for 2 days. He's just a child. You're going to let him die. Until then, no one responded, but she said she could buy it then. The supplies. Upon seeing this, the residents began to sell packages of ramen noodles for 200. Sell medicine, sell everything there. Yes, they helped her grandson, the guys, Proda, as always, taking advantage and seeing everything through the chat. Found it funny that people are not understanding the apocalypse in front of them. They will soon realize that the role of money is not enough to eat. Xing Sheng, who is a very rich guy, started buying food at all the prices they offered. He knew very well that from here there was a time when there was no money to eat, so he bought everything he could. A single mother made an appeal for help. In the group also her daughter was about to die of hunger, and she was hoping that someone could help her, but she doesn't have money to buy food. PRA says that this woman in her past life with her daughter managed to live a long time, even without a supply, so it's safe. She'll find her way after some more time. It's been 10 days since freezing. Global and PR is at home as always enjoying the heat, and at that moment his phone rang and he saw. Who was he? He even laughed. He opened the video call and said they looked very thin. Are you feeding well? The sight of their chicken made them drool right away, asking how he is still so as well as he has food at home, and with this cold weather how is it that he is sweating inside the house after just a little while. He says that he is doing very well because he has a fireplace at home. It is very warm, and he also says that he is so it's hot in here that he's thinking about taking a walk outside to get some fresh air, and Xing is drooling. He starts drooling over the egg and also saying that he is incredible, and if he could take a shower at his house. If he wants to go, he can go along without think twice. He rejected the invitation, and even made a joke. The girl was instantly angry with the Prota's words are fine if he doesn't want to help, but then makes fun of them and accuses her. She says that that's how it is. Just ask if they still think he's a Gadinho. If they want food, they'll look for your rich boy there and now. The other end of the line hung up the phone right away, and Xing was so then he threw the cell phone on the floor. Mr. Gadinho. He wasn't just Gadinho anymore, guys. His best friend even praised Prota, saying that this guy is badass. She's the one who asked Radu the opportunity to be enjoying things at his house right now. He was much better than the rich kids they had contact with. After that they came out with punches because one didn't accept being called stupid by the other. Meanwhile, the government stopped hiding the news of the Neve disaster and issued a television advertisement to address this electricity age of all. Power supply would only be at night, and even then the voltage would be sufficient only for appliances. Low power. Currently all major power plants were offline and power was scarce, so everyone just used the zap, at most, another light bulb there, no electric shower. Everyone now knows that the ice disaster. There is no end date. After fighting for about 10 minutes, without losing friendship, and Xing and his friend decided to be more direct in their plans, and Xing picked up the phone and called Kato Zing, telling a story about how Yinning Proto wanted to tarnish its purity just because he had food. That is, he wanted to eat for food. He used Peng, the cattle, more cattle than exist. He was pissed to hear this, saying that Prota is a channel that he had to break his face right now, and the Xing went there, and further deluded him, by saying that she and the cattle should go and rob Prota's house right now in a short time. The three of them went to their door each with a knife hidden behind their backs, and knocked on his door. Bro watching everything on the cameras, he saw the Supremo cattle, and the two of them, and knew that they have no idea about the cameras. They knocked on the door, and asked to exchange medicines that they have here with them for food. It was in this type of situation that for he was flipped over in his past life, angry at people trying to outsmart him again, for he decided to be aggressive now. Taking the hose to throw water on them, and end the problems quickly, he changed his mind when he saw a bucket of accumulated trash. His idea was obvious. But the magical way he did it, I don't know. With the hose out, he threw it into the sewer, and on top of the three of them, they all remained. Full of sewage with garbage, and the PR is saying that this is the food they deserve, they can eat as a gift to the poor thing. Even from some fad there, the Z-imping cattle dying of rage threw a used knife at the door, but didn't even scratch the door with his hand. He was almost dragged up after flying. Prota says through the loudspeaker that his door is made of steel. Impossible for them to open, and after a while Prota gave up on them, and went to friend them. However, suddenly he wakes up with the sound of a gunshot, even though he knew that at some point the law of the jungle would be put into practice. The shot out of nowhere scared the kid. When he checked the security images on the surveillance cameras on the tablet, Silver noticed that Yin Tseng and his employees were going from house to house stealing supplies. Many had the same fate he had in his past life in the apocalypse. He even set WhatsApp groups to spread the news with these photos saying that Jin Zhang now runs the entire building while Prota watches everything on camera. The new group was formed where several residents denounced Jin Zhang's actions in the chat, stating the need to go against. He soon Prota was also added to the group and read the messages, having fun with everything as always. A retired veteran proposed leading an attack against Jin Zhang. Receiving support, the veteran uncle suggested that he needed young volunteers and weapons to guarantee safety. A woman from the chat immediately sent an audio questioning Aunt Lin. Stole them these days. Can they trust their uncle and hand over the weapons to him? And if he becomes a new Shinzung? This then divided the residents into two groups, half wanting to go to the top of the chasing together with the veteran uncle, and the other half just wanted to not trust their veteran uncle and not do anything. The pro is watching the entire discussion in the group, eating all the time, filling his mouth, watching Jing's cameras robbing more and more houses. He decided that he should do something and take this guy down soon, because anyone who stands against him will just drag him down. Shot him in the coconut, and that's not fair to everyone. So much so that the next morning a resident who was against help her veteran uncle go after Shinzang and asked for help from Zap's group. Her door was just being broken into, and soon she would be next to go. It wasn't long before the door was kicked in and she was dragged out, and it happened. What are you thinking? And Xing and his nervous friends realized that they needed a plan to not be the close to being broken into. The idea the girls had was to spread the news that Prota had a stock of supplies and get everyone to join forces to take over his house. They added him to a new group for him. No, but Prota didn't call and said everything was fine. They argued that he should get together with the four of them to protect against Shinzang because he alone couldn't. Laugh PRA's response, it was simply leading the group, and this change in PRA's stance left Wai Xing increasingly astonished, as this Gada from 3 months ago was now so firm like that. They began to argue in how to invade Prota's house and steal his fortress. The smart guy with glasses says that they have to open the door. Your friend here knows how to open locks and works in a bank. But wait, what bank is this? I don't know what a be lock. They decided to try to fix it for the door by putting umbrellas so they wouldn't take a bath of water in garbage this time. Brother, watching through surveillance cameras, that they don't know about, he activated the high-voltage defense feature. The smart of locks had just admitted that this lock here, it wasn't like the others. There was no way to open it. The next step was the electricity exploding. Crazy. See next. Seeing this, Proto didn't feel any regret for having overturned this smart guy with glasses pointing at the door, cursing evil monster Egypt to tell him to leave now. The para just laughed. He took his crossbow and hit Edom full in the arm. The other two went to help, and they also took the cattle and the other crazy person there, and Xing and the others ran back to the house where the three came from. Hit by the arrows, were lying on the ground moaning in pain. One of the girls slapped him in the face, yesing, and said that this is all her fault. She didn't say that he had beasts in his house, and she defends that she didn't know. Last time he just threw rubbish at her Zampungato, as he always defended, __. And besides, the smart guy remembers that the most important thing now is to take care of the wounds. They called Zur, who came to check everyone's wounds. She Surprise explains that as the wounds are very deep, and without professional equipment, they have less than 20% of survival. Furthermore, the arrows were rusty. Without antibiotics, their death will be certain. The girl, who is relative of one of them, cries at the news and says that Shimzim is very cruel and did that's on purpose. The doctor, that the kitten doesn't know who this crazy guy is, but says he's crazy. So leave the warning. Get the medicine soon if you remove the arrows. Now it was for them. The smart guy with the glasses at this point, he must have gone crazy by now, and said that Proto must get the medicine for them because he is guilty. And Xing, thinking at least once in your life, remember that Silver suddenly changed a lot and started to stockpile things. She tells others that he is medicine because she herself saw it being stabbed, and besides, no one here did him any harm, only those who were going to rob his house. But no, they got it, so he's wrong. They're right in the corner over there. Azer, listening to this, just thinks she doesn't even know this. Crazy, but they really deserve to die. The other girl blames all of this on Yuxing, and they force __. Anyway, go convince Proto to get medicine for everyone. This time even the cattle agreed. Without the medicine, he's also going to die. The plan now is to try to call him, and he answers happily. She's crying on the phone and says the boys are dying if he could help, and Proto just asks for him. Should everyone have to die sooner or later? The cousin of one of the madmen picks up the phone to say that Proto has a duty to help because he injured the boys with rusty arrows, and Proto says he didn't use rusty arrows for nothing. That was precisely the reason. Intention, and to add more fuel to the fire, he says that to help, he can let him come live with him. That's all. At that time the girl takes the phone back and says yes, he can have her now. From now on, do what he wants to go with his big sister. His friend Sangsuga told him to take her too, and Proto said just come, just you. If you have alone you can come now. She started running there now. Her friend tried to pull her, and she was just pushed. She said, get away from me. Her dog, one of the kids' cousins, slapped her in the face and called her a scoundrel. And as always, __, looked Pros and cattle too much and asked him for help to make them let her go and be happy with her little brother Zhang Yi. He also says that Zhang is a good man, but he is poor and weak. Brother Changjin is the one who can make her happy now. Kid even fell down in pain now. Guys, she put her foot in trying to go to the kid's house again, and they stopped her. The reason? Everything is her fault. So Shangyin has no right to get alone, say the other two, Dr. Sure. Which has nothing to do with this. He reminds us again, without medicine, it's certain death, and one of the injured kids leaves. The smart guy there says that they should continue with a plan to spread the word that Proto has a lot of food. The smart guy says that when Shunzeng and the others take over Proto's house, they will be able to have the medicine they need. Then Xing is now against it. Do this to Brother Zhang, and the other girl make it clear to her if she opens her mouth again to say that she will grind your teeth. Zhang's cattle are against beating, __, but say that this plan is now their only way out. They post in the group in the building all the photos and videos that Proto sent. He really has a lot of food, and when Shenzeng saw this, bugged and even filled his mouth and said that this is perfect. Now he can take revenge for his leg and still cheer his belly. Group of residents, People asked Proto to distribute their supplies to everyone else. They just asked for one. Mealtime ordered all his food. The PR seeing this, the messages send an audio in the group saying who you are with. Listening, he says he really won't feed any of these animals. It won't help anyone, ignoring all of them there. Outside, the Silver looked at the window with the snow falling and just thought staying at home every day is boring. It would be a good idea to use your snowmobile stored for a ride. Suddenly, Prada's phone rang with a message from Deezer. She says that her medicines and food ran out. What if he could negotiate with her? In her previous life, she died due to giving her last bag of food for a single mother who wanted to feed her daughter. Proto remembers her as a good person of her past life, but says that the more intelligent a woman is, the more dangerous she will be, so she doesn't want to give a unlucky chance, but ends up agreeing to help her. He responds that he can provide supplies, but she needs to give something in return. Exchange when seeing these messages, or want to say that he can give food, and she can give him an appointment. Bro, look how she's cute, thinking that she doesn't even know this crazy guy. She's only heard about him. She's here negotiating what to do. Says that instead, he can provide medicine and food, but she needs to do him a favor. He needs her to be his spy and inform the residents' plans. The agreement is to accept it or not. The choice is hers, to follow the crowd and die like everyone else, or stay by his side. She thinks for a while if this is right, but decides to accept it at the end of the day. After all, it's either that or it's death. The first step is taken, guys. Proto has a lot of food, but he doesn't lack food. A lot of time passed, and the brat with glasses sent a final threatening message to Z. Where are you? The last chance, and now are you going to deliver the supplies or not? Upon seeing this message, Proto just makes fun of the group, saying that his food is already. It's over. There won't be any way, while the injured Spartan threatens Proto. So Shinzung forms a group with everyone. Without Proto planning to get together to rob his house together, Zo, Kerr, and Tiu are in this group and decide to warn them. Proto about this. She sends a message with this. Proto is sure that the doctor is crazy and wants to be cooperating with him. Proto says he has plans to defend himself. She just shouldn't be with them if they move. It was 2:30 in the morning when a group of armed people marched to Proto's house, shouting that they had to kill the selfish man. They hammer with the greatest force they had, and seeing this through the security cameras, Proto calmly turned on the high voltage. Those who were near the door were electrocuted and died instantly. What a pity, guys. The others, they were scared, wanting to run away, but as soon as they turned around, they were blocked by Shinzong and his gang. Ordered them to continue breaking the door of the building. It was a bludger in the coconut to motivate the residents. The crazy guy from Glasses says that they have to kill Proto to avenge their neighbors, who have already died, and besides, inside there is a warm fireplace and food to your heart's content. Let's go, guys. Residents are encouraged. They took a log of wood and continued trying to fix the front door, and okay. Proto is there. A while later, drinking wine, he decides he's going to help. They took his son and put on some action music and said that this is to motivate them, listening to a song with even more anger. 20 minutes later, the door was there, badly scratched, and the guy passed out on the floor, hungry, tired, rest, right, and the iron guy. The residents didn't even know that this door is of reinforced steel. One of them goes there and inspects the door with a magnifying glass and says that this is the same material as a safe bank. A door like that wouldn't be open, not even with a tank. The one on the other side of the door, with his crossbow ready, was just one right in the throat. The guy agonizing there. The other neighbors ran, screaming that he also has weapons somehow. Very magical. Proto hit people behind the door, and what's not even in front of the door are the mysteries of technology, and the PR there doesn't feel any guilt about that. That's why he said this is just self-defense. They are the ones who hunted. That the smart guy with glasses survived after calming down. He said he has a plan. The door could be steel and thick, but the wall is still made of bricks and cement. The neighbors seemed to understand and started hammering the wall. On the side of the door, cracks began to appear on the wall. Then a metallic sound impacted the human with glasses. He lost his fear of the arrows on the side of the door and went to check the walls. Are also coated with special metal. At the scene they were in shock, because the hell someone would even put steel in the walls, only someone who knew that this situation was going to happen. They tried to break several other places on the walls, and every corner they dug. There was metal. They went to the apartment upstairs and downstairs, and as expected there was metal in everything. The miserable man had a impenetrable fortress. Without the tools, it would be impossible to pass through these walls. The neighbors realized that. You should have known about the apocalypse to have built such a complex fortress, so everyone was in awe. Despair, saying that Proto was selfish and only thought of him when he did this. Two residents looked at each other with hunger. For a second, they thought about eating each other, but then they got comfortable. There's no hunger. One of the neighbors said he remembers that the balcony of his apartment is made of glass. This idea got everyone excited again, using wooden boards. Madeira went from the apartment next door to his. Proto sat calmly, while everyone went together, gathering on Proto's balcony. Unfortunately for them, the glass was bulletproof, and they couldn't even scratch it. And to help them stay warm, because it's very cold outside, Proto took a life-made Molotov, threw it into a hole in the wall, which soon fell to the ceiling on their heads. In the sight of the element, a second of terror. After a lot of heat and pain catching the fire completely in agony, he jumped from the balcony. The fire spread to everyone. The others, who were also protected against the cold now, while the PRA watched everything calmly. The others, they tried to go back to the apartment next door, but the others didn't let them get close for fear of getting burned. Those who didn't fell from the boards. Other boards remained there on fire, and some took the opportunity to warm themselves up a little since they had the chance. Delicious. After a while, regretting trying to attack, they returned to Proto's face in front of the glass, begging for food like in his past life. They ate a Proto. He doesn't feel even a little bit sorry. He just shows off his warm pasta for them to drool over. He even puts it near the table on the balcony, so they can see it up close and not be able to get the PR. Then tell everyone there, whoever brings Yen Seng's head, he will give a week of food or sale. That's why everyone thirsty looks at Shenzong in the neighboring apartment. Even though they were behind him, they heard the words of Proto overturned. The Shenzong means food and drink for a week. Shenzong. The apothecary even blinked at everyone there, but before they could get close, his men had a weapon in their hands. Stopped everyone at this time. Plata put a reward notice on the ownership group. Anyone who managed to roll over Shenzong would receive a week's worth of food the next day. In the morning, the poor skinny things were waiting to ambush their food. Even if he had a pistol, they could ambush him by surprise. Shenzhen and his faithful were attacked from behind, but the result was that they both fell to the ground, and the chief ordered them to be stockpiled as food. One of his subordinates saw that their boss was injured in the back by this attack. Returning home, they called a doctor who will treat his injuries. Then she was bandaging him and said it wasn't free. Jan Zin then said that she could eat with them, but seeing what the soup was made of, she said that she would rather die of hunger than eating this. So Shenzong says that at least she would be the last person to die in this building if she arrived. At this point, while he passes his hand over her face, she ignores this nonsense and leaves, but they say that only after the chief's wound was clear. So the poor thing sat in the corner of the room while the men went back to discussing their plans to get the Proto-Bro. Look at how far human beings can go in extreme situations. If Shenzong hadn't been injured and needed her to still treat him after he was going to demand other things from her, the boys forcefully. After a while after hearing everything they said, she went to the bathroom. But in fact it was just to tell Proto everything that happened. Later, the men from Zhang went to the apartment next door to look for food and steal. They let them in. They didn't imagine that the food was actually them with a stick on the head. The couple already flipped over, but to be sure they got it right more and more. Scam Zhang tells our doctor that he can't let predators near his house because they might try to hunt him. So go see. At what point are we arriving at the house where Yuxing's friends are? They had to take out the arrows without having medicine. Everyone has serious infections. Maybe this cold is just taking away some of the pain for Zing's cattle. He asks his cousin to try to talk to Proto one more time, but she says there's no way, it's useless to convince the guy. More days pass and the Proto only eats Zhang in fear of being ambushed again as he eats more and more of the Proto calls her asking about the situation on her side. Terrified, she says that Zhang went crazy after food that has already run out. He invades people's houses in search of food. If they don't have food, he makes them become food she hasn't eaten in days, and asks if he can't save her anymore. He thinks a little hesitantly she's a doctor, very useful for being competent in the post-apocalyptic world. Doctor are a rarity, are a treasure. If she died, it would be a shame. So Proto says she can come after doing one last task. A while later, Zop's cattle Pung went to knock on Proto's door, desperate. He says that he loves him and Xing is dying of hunger. He has to help her. He went to the door to ask for food for the girl who used it, and he rejected it. Then he says that the ceiling that is in his body is already advanced. The medicines are no use anymore. As he returns home, he remembers that never even held as hand. Proto's answer is that he should make the most of his last moments. So instead of waiting for death, he runs to Yuxing's room. He kneels down and asks her to. What a cute wedding, guys. She threw him away in disgust, and the cattle then grabbed her by the neck, saying that they are going to get married in hell, and she slaps him in the face, and he says that she is from Proto. Zopungato says that if she is from Proto, he's going to have to go look for her in hell, and he chokes the woman. Guy's sorrow. Getting back to what matters, she says to the men who will make decent food for them today, they won't even realize it wasn't normal meat. Happy thinking that she had forgotten her pride, they ask if she is going to eat too. She said that she also doesn't want to die, just as they don't want to. After helping her a little, she says she does the rest alone, putting something in the soup and stirring it very well. She had to make an effort not to make it gorf there. Guys, inside that pot, that's what you're thinking. A while later, she served everyone. The soup was really very beautiful. Everyone said she smelled great. To gain everyone's trust, Zer also helped herself with a bowl of soup, but went to her room. Lila threw that soup on the wall, pissed on it, because it's rubbish. That disgusted. A while later, hoping that it had worked, she put in a whole bottle of sleeping pills. So in just 30 minutes, everyone should be cheering when she comes back to the room. It worked. Relieved, guys, she sent a message to Proto informing her that it was done. What she should do is follow Proto's order and take everyone to the balcony on the other side. There, he was watching everything. Conf Free asks if he intends to kill them. Hearing this, he played a chord and said that's more or less, she should tie them all to the balcony railing. She says that at least he could help, but he says that she is the one being tested here, not him. She obeys and ties up everyone on the balcony. She notices Zhang's gun. The worried PR warned her to take off and throw it to him now without think a lot, but she tried to bargain, asking if she should really trust him, but with the argument that this is the only alternative she has. Ju wants to obey. He threw the gun at the Proto. Taking the gun, he gave it a analyze, thinking if it was the same weapon that Zhang was using. Then he went into the house. He came back with his hose, and from there, he started throwing water on the balcony, without even worrying about the doctor. He almost got it right. She son of a bitch. She entered the apartment, while the water fell, and in a short time Zhang and all the Other guys woke up screaming, looking at their tied hands and feet. They realized they had been drugged All he managed to do was curse the proto a little. In a few minutes, everyone was frozen from being hosed. The doctor no longer has the strength to stand and calls the emergency room and says that everything is done after a few minutes. Wow, beautiful. The doctor was at the door, and he was watching through the cameras. Although everything has gone well so far, he had to make sure there was no further risk. He should open the heavy door and go in while he pointed out the pipe for her. She entered and finally fell to the floor without strength. Only the heat inside the apartment made her feel more relaxed. Approaching from behind, Proto says it's not over yet. She has to make him sure she's not at all blushing. She knows what she has to do. Shoker takes off everything and is left with just underwear. Now Proto does have it. I'm sure she doesn't have anything hidden that you can see. Proto says it's perfect now, taking her to the room. Says she should take a shower and change out of these filthy clothes. When she hears the sound of the shower running, he takes everything she has. I had to have a kit that I confiscated. It was better to be cautious and always take precautions, right guys? Very pleasant time afterwards. Sure, dressed in pajamas, came out of the bathroom looking beautiful, which she did until Proto got emotional and asked her to sit next to him. Next to him, drying her hair, Proto says he let her come here because she has value to him, but if she doesn't obey the rules, he will have no mercy in discarding her. From now on, she will live there with him. The main rule is that without his permission, she cannot leave the apartment. She says that she is aware and will agree with all the rules. Proto says that in this world of cause, the best thing she did was get together with him to reinforce trust between them. The Proto decides that he will reveal his secret and guarantee the girl's loyalty, as she may have already realized in this. The house doesn't have any food. The way he manages to be so prepared for everything is because he has a special power that no one knows. He takes the bread out of the dimensional warehouse in front of her and tells her how he saves it. If she either kills or kills things, she will not be able to access that food and she will starve to death. So seeing this, she understood how Para is living so comfortably here. If she cheats on him, she won't have food. That was it. She ate the bread and almost cried with excitement. She almost choked too, in such a hurry now that she was clean. No hunger, no thirst used. That she then receives more orders among many things. Now she must help with the tasks, household chores, and before she said she was going to help with everything, the naughty Proto interrupted, asking what she was doing. Has more to offer. Being an intelligent person, she knew what he wanted. Proto's eyes even widened with the view, as well as company and help with chores. They would be a couple like everyone else. Couple would have their moment of exercising as a pair. Our beautiful doctors will have lots of food. Guys the next day looking at her still sleeping and says she must have been really tired last night, and tells her to wake up for breakfast and tells her that it's great to have company since they can't leave the house. It's great to enjoy each other's company. She put on her clothes, went to have breakfast. Morning after eating better than us here in Apocalypse of Brazil. Proto threw her one of his coats. Cold specials going out, he said. They have to do work now. Handed over his baseball bat and said that even though she helped freeze the guys, indirectly kill them, now Zer must go there and destroy the frozen bodies. Even though Proto didn't explain why she went there, and without hesitation started to cheat on the popsicles. Meanwhile, Proto filmed the hard work of the medic without caring about being filmed. She continued hammering and hammering them. The purpose of the recording was to send it to the group of residents and show everyone that Zhang was the guy they were being terrified. He was now in smithereens and people in their homes. They didn't even think about criticizing the woman for doing this or why she was there. They just started to praising and celebrating the villain's death. Proto was satisfied with this result until he received a call. Da Yushing Fairy, he answers, and says he didn't know she was alive. The girl with a crazy face says she was knowing about Shinzing's death, and says that now she is ready to be his wife, and that Protas should only be with Zer because. So I thought she was dead. My friends were on the other end of the line, ready to trick the girl. Two only heard the screams from the other side, and the proto took the opportunity to eat her mind even more. He sent a photo of him with shocker saying that this is his fiancée now. When she saw that there was a message, she let go of her two girls and ran to his cell phone only to see that Prota had uploaded a photo with his girlfriend. The girl was insane, saying that I love more than anyone, I love more than anything. However, PLA threw it in her face that there is no need, and the one he truly loves is over, and he just hung up the phone. In her face, poor girl's friends didn't even want to hit Wei Xing anymore. Their anger was because the girl was going to live with Prota, and they were going to fall apart, but now they're all falling apart together, so it's okay. What a beautiful friendship is. Guy is satisfied with how much she suffered to ask his girlfriend if he was too cruel, and she said that whether yes or no doesn't even matter, he has his reasons, and also how she heard about Prota for the first time through both girls there. She already thought that they both deserved to be overturned. So if they're alive, it's already too good for them too. The girl realized that someone in the building across the street couldn't take it anymore, and decided to make her dream of jumping off the edge of a cliff come true. Building and no longer suffer, but that didn't even impress the two of them after everything that had already happened, guys. However, the phone number to ring was her Uncle Yu. He happily says it's a great news to know that Yu and was alive. You say he feels the same way. He only managed to survive thanks to the supplies that Prota ordered him to keep. Uncle Yu called to also inform him that he is now with Shell Me, and the single mother in the group, and her son is very sick and needs medication that Prota must have with. He of all people, she was the only person that Prao would help above anything, so he told. He comes to get the medicine later, after telling about his uncle to Zer, and drink his juice. Someone comes knock on door. Looking at the security cameras, he saw that it was his uncle, and Chia, I cleaned everything you had, and he didn't even open the door. The door just threw the medicines through the opening on the floor. Even your uncle thanks you and helps, but the woman didn't want that. Guys, she knows he has a fireplace and asks to come in because her baby needs to warm up. He's very cold. At that time it screwed up. Protas says he didn't want to hurt you, but above all safety comes first. He noticed that he ran out of coal, and now they're either wearing 8 or 7 coats, so they can't get any colder. Uncle Yu really didn't want to bother Prota anymore, but the woman insisted more and more on coming in and asked why. That they can't enter if they say that the doctor is with him. The PR then argues that she is his fiancée then. That's why she's here, and the girl got all blushy in the back listening to this, guys. Finally Yu got tired of listened and said that that's enough. The medicines were great, and they have been eating freely after sending them away. Prota was even tired. This woman in her past life didn't survive until the end. It was no wonder how tiring this conversation was. He went to rest on his girlfriend's lap, and he has a great vision. Guys, Prota thinks Li Mei is everything nearby could disrupt his plans with Uncle Yu, and it's no wonder, when they returned home his uncle went to collect money, that she was being so abused with her nephew's trust. She even says that everything was for the best. The baby, but the uncle remembers that he is the one who owes his nephew. If it weren't for him telling him to save food before the apocalypse he would have nothing. Instead of agreeing to May stated that Prota did not give medicines to help everything, that what he does is to demand favors later, saying that Prota is just a selfish and greedy man. Hearing this she shouted that everything has limits. He may be old, but it's not stupid if she tries to speak badly about her nephew again. It's going to end up alone. So she smartly left the matter quiet, guys. In the end, Prota managed to do it. His impenetrable fortress, And with it, he did not die as before, and not only that, he took revenge on all those who ate his door. Xing wasn't one of overturns, but just the suffering of being deceived and then rejected was worth it as revenge, because without food she will die soon. Proda practically took over the entire building and even got a girlfriend, and is no longer a virgin, cattle from his past life. What could go wrong now is that perhaps people from other buildings started coming to his building knowing what he is here, full of food and weapons, a bunch of people bringing dynamites to blow up his door and playing terror. Is that it? I confess here, I thought this was very angry. Marui and I wanted to bring more here on the channel. Comment if you already knew, leave a like if you want more, or if you liked the video, a big thumbs up. Hug from behind, and see you later, and be careful with the cold. Guys, leave your like and subscribe to the channel to strengthen us to always bring you videos. Thank you very much, and see you next time.